So when you wake up in the morning, whenever we play them, the thing that I always worry about is that luckily it's only twice a year, is with Cristaldi being from up there. I just never know, you know what I mean? I get such mixed messages. And so I'm just glad that it went well and we got through it.
We're going to go see if Tiffany some help.
That's why I made sure I was here today.
I was listening. I was hoping. No, I mean, look, you know, we did some better things. I think the first, you know, we had, I mean, you know, there's a newness to our team, Kemba being out, Cody being out. You know, we're going to have to find our energy and our intensity, and tonight we were better with that. So we played better. And after the first quarter, we made some shots, you know, which we haven't been doing. So you could see that, you know, guys are starting to find their games a little bit more, and, you know, we did some better things.
Did it feel like the offense flowed better?
I thought so, yeah. And, you know, like, there's a lot of skill out there, too. Now, again, I mean, you have to temper everything because, you know, he didn't play his guys that much, you know, so, you know, that's where you're evaluating it, you know, I mean, that has to go into consideration also. But that's the best that we've played so far.
Obviously, you know, with Cody being out, it's a matter of seeing different things and how they work, but it seemed like tonight, a good stretch of the third quarter where you guys would, you know, Kemba, all the guys that you said would fit in so long if they're healthy, and seeing Roy in there, it seemed like it fit well for you.
He fits well with those guys because he's like high IQ and he's a ball mover. You know, like he had one great pass, he had that little short roll, and then he touched it, I think, to Mike, you know, for the layup. But he's really a good basketball player when you watch him. His decision making, his passing, so he fits well. And again, he had like 3 or 4 plays tonight every night where there's not many guys that can, you know, like a couple athletic drives at the rim where, you know, he can change those shots, he can protect the basket. So, no, I think he fits well with that group.
You talk often about what a wide spectrum defender Marvin is.
Yeah.
It's not a good example that we did the cat.
Oh, yeah. I mean, like, that. See, the thing about Marvin is, and he's really one of the few guys in the league, so obviously he's an exceptional three-point shooter, and yet he can guard, you know, and he's like anybody, you know, you're going to have to give anybody some help. Like, nobody can guard Towns one-on-one, you know, but he can battle with a guy like him and at least make it hard and give you a chance, and he can guard all the guys that can shoot threes. So, you know, he's versatile in that bigger guys struggle to get to him, so he creates space for everybody else, and then plus he'll shoot 38, 39 from three. And he's such a versatile defender, you know, so it really makes a big difference.
Coach, you have a break coming up based off of these 4 games. Where's going to be the message in practice coming up?
Well, it's got to be that we have to, I think that, you know, we're going to have to scrimmage a lot. I just told them that. Tomorrow's going to be an off day because we've gone 6 days in a row. But I think as much as anything is, our team stuff was a little bit better tonight. But one of the things that's happened is, I think, again, because of injuries and things like that, you can see guys are just trying to find their individual games. You know, and when that happens, a lot of times the downside of that human nature is you get caught up in what you have to do to play well, and then you don't concentrate the way you need to on the team things, and then, you know, the execution isn't what it needs to be, and it all works together. So I think we need to get up and down the floor a lot, even though we don't have a game until next Monday, so they can feel better about where they're at individually. And we got to lock into our team things. You know, we have to be a lot better with that stuff.
Coach, can you just talk a little bit about Frank and how his confidence offensively seems to be growing?
Well, I'll tell you what I liked tonight was that 2 things. Was one, you know, he airballed 2 of his first 3 threes, and, you know, he's 0 for like his last, well, I want to say maybe 15, right, so far in preseason or something like that. And then he shot the rest of them with no hesitation, you know. And he also, which is what he'll do, he drove the ball. So he's doing both. He's shooting threes and he's driving the ball.
Coach, what's your take on Villanelli so far?
Well, I think he's just trying to find himself. And he's a really, really good player. Really good player. I think also, I think he's used to in the summer playing more. You know, so he didn't play. You know, they got eliminated in July, right? It was July. So, usually he's playing more with his national team, so he didn't play from July. And he was working out. I went and saw him a couple of times, once in Miami. But, he's just, he's getting his timing. He's figuring out where his shots and everything are going to come from. He's going to have a good year. He's a good player.
You seen any good signs from Jeremy Lamb that maybe?
Well, the thing to me was tonight was his purpose. His purpose, both in his pick and rolls and in all those catch and shoots, coming up those staggered screens, was he knew tonight this is the best play to make, and he made the best plays. And he passed when he should have passed, and he drove it when he should have drove it. And he's also cutting. He's always been good, but he and Spencer, I think, hooked up once or twice for layups. So again, the ball's getting to the basket. And the one thing we have to do, and it's not, some guys naturally do it. Sessions, for instance, naturally plays in the way that the ball gets into the paint. But our biggest problem offensively last year was, the ability to get the ball into the paint. And so whether we're cutting, driving, passing, paint catches, whatever it is, it's so, how can I say, critical. That you get the ball going to the basket. It affects the quality of your range shots and everything else. And, he really did that well tonight.
It's fair to say, right? I mean, you knew going into this, with so many different new pieces, that it was going to take a while for the bench to figure it out, right?
I think that it's going to take us a while offensively, to get to be, really good. And that's why I feel like our defense has to be great to start the year. It's got to be our chance. I think that we played a little bit better tonight, but we got to get our defense going, Although tonight was, again, by far the best that we played defensively. The third quarter, the start of the third quarter, the first group, that defense was, that was intense, and they were talking, and, our coverages were cleaner, and, it's, again, now that, you think about it, that's Kemba, Nick, Mike, Marvin, and Roy. That's a talented defensive team right there, and they can play offense too. So we need those guys to defend like they did. Thank you.